All right, cool. Well, since we're going then, we both saw Thunderbolts. You saw it yesterday. I saw it today. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to talk about the movie. And I don't know. Initial thoughts. I mean, I saw it with my wife, my kids. We all came out of the theater just stoked. Like if there was a downside for me, it was the post-credit scene, the second one, that was so hyped up to be like the greatest post-credit scene ever, and it was stuff that we basically already knew.
All
So
right.
I was just kind of like, and funny enough, it was actually spoiled for us.
Mm,
Not from before from watching it. We were watching the credits, and right at the last part of the credits, it,
Game.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I was like, cool. So it's Fantastic Four because um, they haven't played that anywhere else in the movie.
I I love that, dude. I love that. Okay, so check this out. So my theater was actually pretty empty. And I gotta say that it's important because when I went to see Sinners, this is the second week, it was a packed theater. And let me tell
Hmm.
you, Las Vegas. So Vegas has so much other entertainment going on that the fact that theaters aren't packed, I'm realizing is normal. Like, because there's so much competition for people's, attention, right? So anyhow, I go see the movie. It's like me and maybe like eight or nine other people. So it was a little like, right? And then there was some scenes in the movie where you knew there was supposed to be audience laughter and participation, and it really wasn't there for me, but I still laughed anyway, but realized it would have been so much better with a better crowd. But I say all that to say that second credit scene for me, yo, I didn't care if it was awkward. I cheered. I was like, what? Just because to me it was like that scene was an example of Marvel getting back to what made it special in the first
Yeah.
place, connecting. And then I also read that scene was actually filmed on the set of Doomsday. So that scene was
Mm.
actually by the Russos. So there was a certain gravitas to it. So anyway, I just wanted to respond to you, but I too also saw the credits and I saw Fantastic Four theme and I'm like,
Did you see who wrote it?
oh shoot, actually I didn't. Who wrote it? Was it Silvestri?
Nope.
Oh, Giacchini.
Yep.
No,
Chicken.
Giacomo.
Yep.
Giacchino. Yeah, I did see that actually. Yeah, which is dope, by the way. Giacchino is. I wonder if he's gonna be the next Silvestri for them.
I feel like I don't know how big he's gonna be, but he's like one of the hardest working men in Hollywood. Like remember he directed
Werewolf by Night.
yeah, Werewolf by Night. So like he's doing all kinds of stuff. Like he's working
Yeah,
hard.
good for him. Good for him.
And his stuff is good. Like I like his stuff. There's a certain like lack of epicness, I think. Like it's all solid. Like it's always solid, but like there's
You're
sort
right.
of a lack of fanfare that you get from like a Williams or a Silvestri or somebody like that. Where he was perfect for Lost because that was mood all the way through. You didn't have a fanfare moment. You didn't even have a theme song, right? It was just all about um, setting the tone behind the scenes, and he's great at that. And he's a great composer. I just don't know that he has that big like boisterous
The
thing.
closest thing to that would probably be the new Trek theme, like what he did for 2009.
Hmm.
I like that one. I remember not being overwhelmed by it in the beginning, but then as time has gone on, I actually like that music, especially for Beyond. But anyway, beyond that, no pun intended, but it totally worked.
Yep.
Yeah, Giacchino he's that dude.
Yeah, he's
So
pretty dope.
Rogue One, same thing. He did great music for that too.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, so Thunderbolts was, I mean, it was pretty awesome. My kids all had kind of the one same complaint, and I guess I'm gonna say we're spoilery.
Yes.
Um, it
Leave. You have
is
not.
yeah. If you
Leave.
haven't seen Thunderbolts, pause this, go watch it because you need to see it, then come back and watch. Um, the only issue that we had was just how quick Taskmaster went out. Like
Okay,
it
check.
was funny, but at the same time, it was like,
It,
okay, I guess that's
it,
done.
it was totally deliberate. So I'm broadcast for those of you guys who are listening, you probably don't care, but I'll tell you anyway. I travel between Las Vegas and California. So I'm in California. I was on the plane. Did get a chance to do all my research, but I did some research. The people behind the Netflix show Beef actually were behind this film, in
Okay.
terms of writing and producing and directing, which I think is really cool. So, one of the reasons why they killed off Taskmaster so early was because they felt like if it had happened later in the movie, the sadness would of losing her would have kind of ruined the healing part of the second part of the movie. So they had to have it happen early so that way they could focus more in on obviously Bob and the relationship with him and Elena. But let's go back and forth, man. But yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that point because I too felt like that was a little like, whoa, like
Yeah.
really? Oh, also, I forgot. They also did it because they felt like in the original cut where she doesn't die immediately, the movie felt too safe. They wanted to make the movie feel like anything could happen and anyone could go because if there's not enough danger, then the movie kind of falls flat and becomes boring. I think under Whedon, you would have had David Harbour's character die. I could see like when he catches like when he protects the girl,
Hmm.
like when it falls on him. I was half expecting him to get up and be like, okay, good, blah, 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 and then just boom, just fall off dead. I was so expecting that to happen. So when it didn't, I was like, good, this is a movie about hope, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, I said to I remembered specifically those two reasons about Taskmaster.
All right. Yeah. So I loved her opening monologue. I thought it was great. I thought it really set up the entire
Um,
film.
yes.
But it was so Yelena the whole way through. By the time that you get to the end where she's talking to the dude that's taped up, and she's like, "Are you even listening to me?" And she's like, "What, do you have something else on your mind?" And he's like, "Yes, yes, I do." Like the like as it's moving towards it, you're waiting for that bit of sarcasm to really kick in,
Yeah.
and when it finally does at the end, it really pays off. But I love that that was a real stunt. Like she genuinely jumped off of that building,
Yes, she did.
which is insane to me.
It
I would
is.
I would never do that. There's no amount of money that get me to do that.
I
Um,
agree.
but it was cool, and I think it's sort of jumping ahead, but I feel like she was the best part of the movie.
No?
Like the whole Bob thing and what it means for mental health on top of what it means for the MCU. Fantastic. Red Guardian, hilarious. Like all this stuff was great, but she really was the heart and soul of the movie. And she crushed it. She is arguably the best thing in the MCU right now.
You just gave me a chill, my friend. So our boy Risky, who we interviewed,
Hmm.
I think actually it might have been 2 years ago now, which is crazy. But in any event, we had a good 2 hour conversation, and a big chunk of it was on this film. And he made an observation that I wouldn't have made on my own, but I don't disagree with him. And what he basically said was, yeah, like Yelena did kill it, and Yelena is now like she is like she's Black Widow. She's kind of filled the void. Like, and the thing
Hmm.
is, Scarlett Johansson, I think, was already like those are very big shoes to fill. But I think that Yelena, as like a Marvel character who is leading a team, she's, I mean, I really feel like everything that you just said about being the best thing in the MCU right now is like completely valid. Like she has the same amount of swagger and presence and charisma, and she's not a copycat. There is only one Yelena, and
Hmm.
that is like God bless Florence Pugh for injecting life into a franchise that needed it, frankly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think me and my kids or my family all came out saying this is the best Marvel movie for me since Endgame, and that includes No Way Home.
Did I? Oh, that's right. I did, so you did see my text. I said it's
Yeah,
the best since No Way Home. So you're saying it defeats No Way Home. Fascinating. You know what?
yeah,
Here's what I'll say. So I think some of the other movies had bigger peaks, but bigger valleys,
hmm,
whereas this film is more consistently good the whole way through.
yeah,
If that makes
yeah,
sense. right? Because I feel like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, right? That was the one where I was like, I like the movie, but then I'm gonna be honest with you, there were some good parts, and then there were some parts that were just kind of cringe.
Hmm.
And so that's why I can't give it that like, and even with No Way Home, like there's some great parts, but it's not, I feel like this film was pretty consistent throughout the whole thing. Was it a little slow in the beginning for me? Yes. But, seeing John Walker, seeing Ghost, who I think really came up as a character, because let me tell you something. I think Ghost is gorgeous, just straight up. So
Yes,
like,
Hannah John
eye
Kamen is
candy.
beautiful.
She is so beautiful, right? But that was all she was. She was a pretty beautiful, you feel sorry for her in the end in like Ant-Man
Yeah,
and the Wasp, right? But in this film, not once, but twice, she comes back when she could have been like deuces, but she
yeah.
came back and it made me like her. And then maybe by the end of this movie, how I knew it won, and let's not I'm excited. Sorry. We'll get to Winter Soldier in a second. But by the end of this movie, like I actually gave a flying F about every single one.
Hmm.
It's victory. That's when you know you've done a good job. And I
Yeah,
care about them.
yeah. And that was another thing that I thought it did really well. Was it sort of redeemed John Walker, right? Like he was intentionally very unlikable in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So to bring him back in this and make him, a main character and somebody that they're going to use going forward, you've got to make him more likable. And it would have been easy for them to stumble on that, and they didn't. I thought while he's not like totally huggable, like through a lot of the movie, you kind of want to punch him in the face, but like as a character in a film, like he was likable. You got into what he was putting on screen, and his interplay with everybody else was what you want from him.
And the thing is, this movie was so much about teamwork, right? And I know that's not revolutionary, but the idea is not revolutionary, but the execution I think can be. So for me, when he literally just grabbed the pole from Elena
Hmm.
and he just made the call and did it and saved their asses. Like if he hadn't done it, so John is impulsive. That's
Yeah,
his problem. He's impulsive. But like he saved their asses in that situation. Can you imagine falling down that tube and splat? Like that would
it's
suck.
a mile, they'd be dead.
You're dead.
Yeah,
I don't care if you're powered or not, you're done.
yeah.
And he had to just make the call, right? So now here we go. I feel like just like Vision, I feel like uh Winter Soldier has been progressively nerfed and nerfed and nerfed ever since we saw his badassness in the Winter Soldier.
Hmm.
So for me, I loved you. I gotta relive it. Sorry, guys. But you stick the thing on the vehicle, you do your motorcycle trick, you land, you take the thing, punch it in the ground, and the truck just flips
Yeah,
over. Yo, that was straight up Winter Soldier ruthlessness. And I was like, I'm glad you still got it in you because in Winter Soldier, you were a scary mother effer, even though you were just an overpowered human being. You seemed a bit like immortal or something. Like
yeah,
and so to have that on the squad is just great. And when one more thing, I'm rambling. I also in my research, not one but two people were originally cast that had to switch out. Stephen Yoon was supposed to
yes,
be
gonna be
the
Sentry.
original Bob, and of course it makes sense because of the beef thing. And then Ayo Edebiri was supposed to be Madam Hydra's assistant. But
Okay.
because the movie was delayed, we got the new actress, who, by the way, I loved.
Yep.
And she gave me a lot. She gave me Kate Bishop vibes. She was
Hmm.
adorable. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there too as proof of my research. But I'm just gushing, man. Let's just gush. Like
Yeah.
I want you to talk. I've been talking a lot. I want you to talk too.
Yeah, yeah. I just I mean, it's a movie. It's got flaws for sure, but like if you're really going to look for them, it's got a lot less than a lot of the other films that have come out so far. And I think one thing that's interesting is you built a team like you did in the original Avengers, But they kind of did most of that work much faster than they did in the original Avengers. Now, granted, they had all these individual films to set up the characters and all that, but the Avengers weren't the Avengers until the very end. These guys were effectively a team by the time they left Sentry's little hut. And
Radal, if you
then,
will.
yeah.
Yes.
And I loved, dude. I mean, he was ridiculous and he was extra, but the Red Guardian was a whole lot of fun in this.
The way like Elena is like, oh no, like in
Yes.
the desert and you're
Yes.
just driving, honking the horn. Oh,
From like across the desert, like he's honking the whole way. And they're like, who is that? And she's like, nobody.
she like, and it was just, it's so cute and so human. Like, the daughter embarrassed by the dad. And let's go Red Guardian for a second. I think I laughed harder than anybody in the theater. When he pulls up the cereal box and he's
Yes.
like, it's me.
Yes. That was awesome. And she's
Uh,
just like, cool. And then she just sets it down when she leaves. Like, she's like, whatever.
Dying.
Yeah.
And then Avengers with the Z, like, I mean, so that's the thing. It's like I just feel like this movie was such a return to form because it does I mean it now finally all the other things we saw in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, in Ant-Man, yeah, Ant-Man,
Hmm.
I'm forgetting. It all just comes together in terms of these characters. And I loved the idea of them being the new Avengers because
Yeah.
even though the Thunderbolts had a different origin in the comics, I know it's Baron Zemo, like even calling them the new Avengers feels a bit more comic booky again because it reminds me of like X-Men and X Factor, and there really was a new Avengers
Yeah.
like
There
in
has been new Avengers before. Like, that's actually, it's a line of comics. So, like, the
yeah.
name isn't new. I, one thing that, like, we were just dying about is how they got the name Thunderbolts.
Oh
Because it
yes, for
was like
the
her little
yes,
5 year old Pee Wee soccer team,
that
and
didn't
how
win.
like just pumped Red Guardian was for it. Like he was just so excited, and
And I
like,
love how she was like, okay, that was pretty good. Like when he was talking about, do you remember what you said? Like
mhm,
they wanted to be goalie. Like, I was just like, I mean, so let's talk about Bill Pullman for a second. I love Stephen Yeun, I do, but I think Bill was made for this role.
Lewis.
Oh my God, it's his dad is Bill.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Bill's.
last name. Yeah. Lewis Pullman was made for that role.
Hmm.
He's a natural. I don't think he's been in much before this. I don't think.
He's been in a couple of things.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, he was in Top Gun Maverick. And the funny thing is, I don't know if it was Top Gun Maverick or if it was the movie that he did right before this, but his character in his previous movie to this was also named Bob. And he actually asked, he's like, can I have a different name? And they're like, sorry, dude, it's the comic book character's name. He's like, fine. Like, but he really wanted a different character name because he was just tired of being Bob.
Well, that's fun. Well, Bob is just such a Bob, it's like it's
Yeah.
so yeah, I just felt like the role was I, I just liked him. I could see him. I want to see him around. I'm glad he's actually now part of the new Avengers too. Although his power set is crazy scary. Like, what are
Hmm.
they gonna do? Like, if he gets mad, like, so what I liked about the movie as well was that um the idea of depression and healing and how, at first Elena's like, you have to stuff it down, but then she's
Yeah.
like, no, you have to let it out, but then also be okay with, reaching out and connecting with people. I mean, you saw so much of that. Like, it is Guardians-esque, but like you saw so much of that, like when she walks into the void area and then they go after her. Like, so many things would have gone wrong had they not stuck together.
Hmm.
And especially, and what makes it special is these are people who absolutely were not working together. And if anything, we're trying to get rid of each other. And I loved when Elena said to Madame, I keep calling her Madame Hydra, but it's like something DeFontaine or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's like, "We own you." Like at
Oh, that
the
was
very
so good.
end, I was just like, but it was so skillfully played. Like she knew it was a rap, but she just
Hmm.
just boom, you can't take me out for all these news people. So like it was it was a great ending. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just and I mean I'm just talking. You want to talk
Yeah,
about what you didn't like? I mean, maybe we do.
there's not much. But I do think Pullman was perfect because he played, he played the soft character so well. Like he is such a gentle guy who's just broken, right? Like that's the whole thing. He was an accident. Like more so than Steve Rogers, more than anybody else. Like he was a genuine accident. Like their expectation was not only that he would die, but they actually believed that he did die, right? Like they didn't know what they had. And I love that for a minute, like it almost seems like she's successfully playing him.
Hmm.
Valentina, that's her first name, Valentina.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
It feels like, she's playing him, and then right before he goes full void, he's like, well, why would I listen to you?
Oh
He's
my
like,
God.
yeah, he's like, you just said I'm more powerful than a god, so I must be a god. And I think too, I think that actually, the character I think is actually more bipolar disorder than necessarily depression because you have the highs, and they talked about his like delusions of grandeur and things like that, and then you obviously have the lows of the void and all of that. And I think it was just so well done. Like he did r really well at that. And and I know this is actually the character and the power set is essentially effect like straight out of the comics. So that is the Sentry and the Void are the same person in the comics. Like that's not new. They didn't create that for this. But they made it so understandable, right? Like it just
Yeah.
made perfect sense. And oh, so the moment you were talking about when Red Guardian saves that little girl. And then he's standing there and everybody's happy for a second. Then she's just like, poof, and she's just gone. I was like, oh shit. I was like, they just killed a little kid. I was like, this thing is legit. Like, it was crazy. I was like, oh no. Like, I did. I,
Yeah.
I looked over and everybody was just like, what?
Yeah.
So, it was a good, like, kind of shocking moment to move you forward in the story. I liked the look of the Void. I thought the Sentry costume was kind of corny, but it was almost intentionally so, right? Like they threw it together. It's very Vought Industries, right? Like
Oh
we're
yeah.
kind of in that the boys kind of world right there with them trying to create a superhero, and it just played so well. And when he thumps up on the Thunderbolts and just beats the living hell out of them in
Can
Stark
I tell
Tower.
you, I loved those scenes. And I honestly, I was like, I'm not gonna lie. All right, so whatever, more nerdery. So as a kid, okay, I have always loved Superman-esque action. So like as a kid, I saw the first movies. I was like,
Hmm.
oh my God. Then I had to wait like damn near 20 years until Neo in like,
The Matrix.
second and third movies.
Yep.
Like I'm like that was like oh my God it's like methadone yes like this is terrible but like I was like chasing the dragon until finally Man of Steel came out and just totally satiated my addiction. So anyway, yeah, man, that was totally tickling that. I mean, okay, I'll say it. Like I'm like Peter Jackson. I'm Peter Jackson. Oh my God, shoot, the director of Guardians who's doing
Oh,
Superman.
James Gunn.
James Gunn, like you're on notice, homie. Like, I hope your Superman action is as good as what they did in that movie. You're probably going like, yeah, it's all right. But like, I just love the way he's able to like fly. Like, I think he punched somebody up and then flew and punched him down. Like, I
Hmm.
was, yes, like it was so seamless and godlike. I'm like, why are you inviting him, dude? Then he turned his like shield to a fucking into a
That
taco.
was hilarious. And then it was just like that for the rest of the movie, like all the way through. I think even in the post credit scene, I think it was still that.
Yes.
Like, it's just like he's like, can you at least Hulk out and put it back? He's like, but yeah, the one thing that made me laugh. There's a couple of things too. I was like, number one, why does Marvel hate New York City? Like, what is
Uh,
their problem? They just want, they're always destroying New York. Just, I don't know. What about
Right.
like, I don't know.
Like, what did New York?
Yeah.
And also, what's really impressive is that none of that was even filmed in New York, but that little area, like where the Battle of New York actually happened
Hmm.
too, Grand Central. Like, I think I used to like live right there, so I remember it. So to me, it was really impressive that they're able to digitally recreate that area when it wasn't even filmed there. Like, it was all computer CGI. Like, that's nuts. Or maybe it was a set, but either way, it was well done. But you're right.
Yeah.
New York is like I would move at that point. If I live in 616, I would not live in New York anymore.
Oh yeah, that place is screwed, man. Like nothing happens in Chicago. Nothing happens
No.
in LA. Seattle's fine,
Yeah.
but New
Nothing
York
happens
is
in
just
Vegas.
like
Like just
yeah.
yeah.
Like it seems like about once every year or two, New York is just dicked. And then the other thing, I was like, when are they going to put together a phone tree for superheroes in the MCU? Because like, why did nobody ever call Captain America? Why did nobody call Banner? Because he's around. Like, why did nobody call the other people that could help? They're just like, we're the only ones that can do it. Let's drive back across and get there. Like these other people have resources to do something and they don't. And it just makes me laugh. Like I know they have to do that to move the story forward. Like that's what they have to do, right? Like that's the excuse on paper. But I'm like, at some point these guys just have to know each other's phone numbers. Like just be like, hey, meet me in New York if shit's about to go sideways. And just do something. But yeah, it's the one thing I think that probably in any superhero franchise that you create, the bigger that world gets, it starts to become unbelievable. Like somehow we're going to have Kingpin in Marvel Television, but they're not going to be able to interact with him in the movies, even though it's the same New York, because MCU doesn't have the license for Kingpin.
They don't?
Kingpin can never be in the movies for licensing reasons. So I don't even know if they can mention him. So even though he's about to become the mayor of New York in the TV show in Daredevil Born Again, um, they can't use him in the movies, but if they're going to do the street level thing, that was always Spider-Man and Daredevil and Iron Fist and Jessica Jones and all those people. Like those are your street level heroes in New York, and Kingpin is the mayor of New York. But when they make the next Spider-Man movie, they can't talk about him.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
I've
it's
never.
weird. Like I don't know how you're going to work around that.
Huh. Huh. Well, speaking of the other superheroes, I liked that Sam, at least in the after credit scene, it made it sound like Sam was not happy. Oh, yo, they said Sam went and bought the rights.
The trademark, yeah.
That's why I had to
The
see.
Adventures of the Z. Yeah,
Duh. That does sound like something Sam would do, though. So I just, the other thing I like about it is, I love about it actually is, yeah, when you make something so legendary, and I'm going back to like my experience, I'm sure all of our experiences, the credits of Endgame and seeing like the last get chills again, those last little montages, then the signatures of the
yeah.
original six, like those are huge shoes to fill. So when you had like, Sam and Shang-Chi and whoever, you're almost like, but now you elevate Sam and Shang-Chi and the rest because you've got the Thunderbolts, right? Now kind of competing for the Avengers name. And how even in the movie it's like, oh, not my Avengers, right? That could actually translate to the real world. Like it might become, are you like Team Avengers or are you Team Avengers?
Yeah.
And because right now, honestly, from a like I'm a sucker for the underdogs. I do think, and here's the thing: as long as like the Avengers can like harness like Void, like, dude, I'm sorry. As long, you don't even really need anybody else.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just I see it, and Buck just as that like that continuity, because he's
Yeah.
been there since day one. Like, just love it, man. I
Well,
just keep going.
and I like too that I mean, this was the first time I felt like we weren't buried in the old
Yes.
pre-Endgame universe. Like, yes, some of these characters were around, whatever. Um, but this is like the first time that it was okay for none of those people to be here. I mean, Bucky was, but like otherwise, this really wasn't about those guys. The new Captain America, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You're still always comparing him to Steve Rogers. Thor: Love and Thunder was just more Thor, but done kind of poorly, I think. I think that movie needed some help. Spider-Man is Spider-Man, he's great, but still a carryover from the old regime. And this is the first one that they did that just felt like its own thing. And now it feels like we're starting. Now it feels like we're moving forward. Because, now you have the Fantastic Four. Now you have these other Marvel movies that are going to be coming out that are part of this new kind of new world order that they're making.
You're so right. This is the reset. And it's like, and it's kind of funny how you said it feels like its own thing, yet it's still connected. And
Hmm.
that to me is the key because all the other ones, they felt like their own thing, I think, in some respects, but they didn't feel connected, you know? And, Risky would say, oh, well, the other movies had to set it up, or whatever. But I'm like, cool, cool. But still, I feel like, no, I think this and Fantastic Four are like the real like wiping the slate clean. We are now about to get down
Yeah.
and dirty again. So yeah, kudos to Marvel for finally figuring it out. Do I think it was this is a result of like the studio kind of calming down and saying, okay, we tried the greedy route and we tried to just like pump out as much content as possible, but now we get it. We're going to listen to you, Kevin. The next time we try to release Black Widow or a movie like it at the same time and you say no, we'll listen versus getting sued, rightfully so, by Scarlett.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, I think let's just get back and let's put the right people in charge and focus more on quality and not quantity.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this year there's three movies in the theater, right? Because we had Captain America, and then we have this one, and then we have Fantastic Four. But next year, I think we only have two. We only have Avengers and
Correct.
Spider-Man.
Yes, and those both are going to be sick.
Yeah.
Like sick.
Yeah. So like I'm good now. Let's just do two a year. 2 years fine. Do like two shows a year if you want to do some shows. There are stories that I think are better told as shows. I think Miss Marvel was an example of that. That show was absolutely wonderful. Wouldn't have worked as a film the way they made it, but it worked perfectly as a TV series.
Yeah.
I think, as a matter of fact, to be fair, I think some of um, the
Shows are
early
good.
Disney Plus shows really worked really
Yeah.
well, and then
Hawkeye.
they
Did you
kind of
hear
got
about
away
what
from that.
happened?
Which
Did
one?
you hear did you hear about what happened with Hawkeye season two?
Yeah, yeah. I'm on the fence about that because he's actually not really going to be Hawkeye anymore, right? Like it's going to go to Kate Bishop, like she's going to take over as Hawkeye. So I assume she is going to get more screen time in that than he was. Uh, that's a guess, but I would assume that was the route they were going. So they were going to try and pay him less for, excuse me, for being there less.
Mhm.
But at the same time, like I just feel like dude has been screwed like every which way by Marvel over and over again, over again. He's in the first Avengers. He becomes a bad guy and then barely does anything. Like, like it's just like in every movie, like he kind of gets the shit under the stick. And he's done it all with like as an actor, he's done it all with grace and been there for all of it. And then for them to come back and say, hey, yeah, we're not going to pay you what you should probably make. How do you feel about that? And he was like, yeah, cool. I don't need to do that then. It's a lot of time, especially when, he's 50, right? Like he's not young anymore. That's a lot of time to commit to filming a series where you're not the star, right? And then, he's been through some shit. Like dude died. Like in his book, he actually talks about how he literally died, and so, um, he doesn't really owe anything to anybody at this point. If anything, they owe it to him to do him right, and I don't know that they really put the effort in they should have.
Yeah, you clearly read more about it than I did. I just saw pretty much the headline and a little of the caption. But yeah, I just thought I was surprised though that they would offer him half.
Yeah,
That was like, whoa, dude, like really? Like he's been there since what?
since the
Thor?
beginning, like since the first Avengers. Like no, sorry,
No, even
Thor was
Thor.
his first
Yeah.
appearance. Yeah. Um, and and so yeah, it's weird. It's weird, and I feel like there's probably some exaggeration there. I would assume they probably offered him a little more than half. And we're rounding or whatever, but it's still not right. Like they don't have to pay him like $20 million to do it, but they should probably pay him what they paid him for the first series.
Yeah.
Because again, if you're going to put the name Hawkeye on it, even if you're still transferring the name to somebody else, um, he's still Hawkeye.
And again, after Sinners now, like I hope that I feel like her star, Haley Steinfeld, she's a bigger star now than she was when she made Hawkeye. So
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
hell, can you imagine? Dude, I'm sorry. We already saw the interaction between those two in the elevator, right? So Marvel, if they can just keep them happy and like keep them doing their roles,
Well, so they had the idea to do the Young
in
Avengers,
Avengers, right? But that's
which then became champions because they were all of a sudden too old to be the Young Avengers. So they were going to do champions. Now, I don't remember if it was going to be a series or a movie, but I feel like I think it should be like Thunderbolts. I think it should be a bridge movie to just bringing them into the Avengers because another separate group doing another separate thing for a long period of time probably isn't going to work, especially if you're trying to keep things tighter. But at the same time, like I want to see that interaction between, I want to see Kamala Khan with Kate Bishop with Yelena Belova.
yeah,
Like the three of them together would be incredible.
yes.
Um, and I think I hope that they bring Miss Marvel into the Doomsday thing too. Having watched for some I don't know remember the reason, but for some reason we just rewatched the Marvels the other day, and that little girl
Yeah, I know.
is everything. Like she's gold. She was the Elena Belova of that movie. Like if you took her out of that movie is not very good.
Chills.
You know. And granted, I do think Yelena Belova did more for Thunderbolts than Miss Marvel did for the Marvels,
Oh yeah,
but it's the same idea. Like they are both like the glue,
yeah.
and you need them, and so to bring her in would be really awesome. I just don't know exactly how they're going to do it. So
Yeah, and I know that like, you know, I think Spidey is gonna be in Secret Wars.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I
he's not
feel
in
like
Doomsday. At least that's what they've said.
yeah. So I wonder if and I actually would love to see her interact with Tom. I think that could be interesting, which is
Yeah.
kind of funny considering her friend was like he wanted to be Peter Parker.
Yes. Yeah.
So that'd
Yeah.
be an interesting dynamic to see. So if she goes cosmic in Secret Wars, I mean that's fine too. I think of her as a cosmic
For sure. For sure. And
player.
that's the rumors. That's the next level of MCU that we're going to get is going to be more cosmic. So we'll see what that is. The one thing I thought too as I was watching it, Lewis Pullman reminded me so much of like a grown up Tom Holland.
Yeah, I could see
Like
it.
they look very similar.
Yeah.
I think if Tom Holland played the same type of character, like he would do it the same way. Like it's it is really fun to see. But yeah, I really love the work that Lewis Pullman did. I think he was so subtle in everything that he did, and he played a good broken man.
Yes, and going back to what you talked about being relatable, like I was talking to Saloni, I basically said, look, at the end, at the root, this movie is about it's about depression. I know you talk about bipolar syndrome as well, but like it's about depression and healing from it. And that's a very, I think, relatable common theme that anyone, for the most part, could kind of connect to. And I think that's what makes the movie succeed. And then I also posted a meme about the three top rated Marvel films. I think it was IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes, either one, or maybe it was Phase. Anyways, I know it was Wakanda Forever. It was that one, and then there was a third, and I'm trying to remember what it was. But I know all three of them deal with healing. Healing. It was Black Panther, this one, and there was anyways, I'm ruining on the podcast. But all three of them deal with healing in some way because with Black Panther, it was about healing between basically just
The
I'll just say
loss
it
of, yeah.
Black America and African America. It's like the two different cultures because
Yeah.
really, it was between the father and his brother, and that when the father had to take out his brother for doing his work in America, that was a rift. And so basically when you have Killmonger, who is African American, and you've got T'Challa, who is African, like they have to heal that rift, but there
Yeah.
was a rift. And by the end, it was healing, right? And togetherness. This one, same thing. And I can't remember the third, but it was definitely the same deal. And Lewis was the heart of it all. And literally, when he's punching, the void, which is himself,
Hmm.
turning into the void because
Yeah.
he's like it's like almost like Star Wars Dark Side, like the hate
Yeah.
consumes you. And then she hugs, but it's still not working. And then everyone else has to all gather and hug. Yo, like it you could say it was corny, but it's not corny. It's like literally saving somebody from the abyss.
Hmm.
And how she even like she starts the movie off with like jumping off into the void. Like that's why she was able to relate to it. So that was really yeah, I just felt like it was the perfect mix of depth, action, and pushing the story forward and redemption for not one but all. Oh, one more thing. The people behind Beef also said one of the inspirations was Toy Story. The idea of people feeling like broken toys who no longer had a purpose for being. And we saw that with Red Guardian, in his apartment where
Yeah.
it's all like gross. And he, like, so when she's at his door, he's like rushing around, like rinses his mouth and comes out because he's
With dish soap. That was hilarious. Like you heard our whole theater was like, oh, like it was audible, like from the entire theater. It was hilarious. Um, but yeah, I think too, like for a movie to be so much about, what depression can do, like that emptiness that it creates, but to also have it be as funny as it was and as light as it was in places, I think really, really worked. I mean, there's so many great jokes when they're in the moving van and they're driving, they're trying to get to Valentina's tower. They're talking about guns, and he pulls out his gun, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's really big. It's really long." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, it's really long." And then he's like, "Oh," and like
yeah,
it's so funny. And then when they crash the truck into the building, and just Julia Louis-Dreyfus is so good at what she does. That like her line, she's like, "Guys, I just had the drywall redone. I left the door open for you. Come on up." Like,
yes.
so funny. And like she is channeling her character from Veep in such a way, but like mellowing it out. Have you ever seen Veep?
No, but you talked about it, and I'll have to give it a shot at
It
some
is
point.
brutally funny. Like it is there's no good people in Veep. And like the allegory there is that politics is just a shit show, right? But she is brutal in that show, and it's hilarious. And you can see that like that was an inspiration for the way she played this character, but this character is so much dialed back from that character.
Oh wow.
Um, oh
So
yeah,
so
yeah,
Veep.
she's way
Okay.
worse than Veep. But yeah, she plays that part so well, and she plays smart really well. Like she's definitely like always moving, like her brain is always cranky.
Yeah, no. So again, I got to give Myers-Briggs. She would probably be ENTP. She's a trickster. She can figure things out. She's slippery, and she's great. I gotta say I suck because I had to like look at it myself. So basically, the meme was the top three highest rated MCU films on Rotten Tomatoes. Number one was Black Panther. Number two is Endgame. Number three is Thunderbolts. And again, Endgame, obviously, that
Yeah,
movie.
loss of yeah.
Yeah, and healing from the grief. So yeah, all three. And so those are very, very human, relatable things to that anyone can relate to. I also again want to give props to I gotta look her up. I gotta look up the cast. But the assistant to Valentina as well. I loved how Bucky was able to kind of court her and know, yo, like I think I can get her a flip. And she even says, I know what you're doing. Like,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
still
I
works.
love it. He's like, what are you talking about? And then Wendell Pierce's character is like,
Yes.
He's like, you don't have to do that. We can just do it in blah blah blah. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like it's a very subtle nod to the absolute inaction of politics and just the mess that is getting anything done in politics, right? And I kind of love how by the end of it, Bucky is like, yeah, just this is not the world I live in. It's not the world I work in.
I'm just
Like
gonna do it myself. Yeah,
yeah,
like
he's like, we're gonna have to do this a different way because you guys are gonna screw it up.
mhm.
Um, and yeah, it was great. I think the moment also the moment when he gets the call from her and he's got all four of them tied up and he's like, "Oh, Sentry, oh Bob," and they're like, "Bob," like
We were dying. Yes,
it's just
they were because they're trying to tell him and he was not listening. And
yeah,
then finally, yeah, no, it was great. So it's funny because like you could totally like that's the other thing I like about the Avengers and this too, right? Because when you look at the original six, they're all super charismatic, but you had to admit, like in the first film, like even though Cap was like kind of like, yeah, I'm Captain America, it was like Tony was like kind of the leader in
yeah,
the 2012 one, right? But then they developed Cap as a character to where it was more like co-captains, right? But Cap became a bit more of a leader. So in this film, even though like Bucky probably had the most experience and seemed like the senior guy, you could argue that Yelena is the
yeah,
leader too. So it's great when you're able to have like more than one leader like in the group. And I could say like John maybe like the third, but like he's so like that cop who might turn violent and kill you kind of guy. Like
yeah,
he's the a-hole Captain America.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I think too, it's good that this is a band of misfits, right? Like this is like you said from Toy Story, like this is your broken toys. Like this is uh they're not perfect. They're going to have conflict going forward. But they all also kind of came from the same place, which is, really helped them come together. And I think that was pretty important for this, for this to work. Um, they really could have turned on each other at any point or just bailed on each other at any point. And they really didn't. And I thought that was pretty great. To the point that when Yelena walks into the void,
yes.
that's when Ghost she realizes that she's doing it for a reason. And then I think what was really smart storytelling was to actually pass like the real confirmation over to Walker for him to say, wait, yeah, this thing happened to me, which is something that he wouldn't want
Yeah.
to admit, right? Like he doesn't want to show weakness to anybody ever. Um, but he's got to back her up, and he does. And so then we have our team going after her and all that. Um, but yeah, it's a good movie. Like if you're looking for something to watch and go see this and Sinners on a doubleheader. Like, I was going to ask you like which one you've seen both. Which one do you like more? Not which one was a better movie necessarily, but which one do you like more?
This is embarrassing for me to admit. So I was I was late to Sinners.
Hmm.
And what sucks about that is like even this movie, the previews were like 25 minutes,
Hmm.
okay? So I got to Sinners maybe 20 minutes in. Yeah, dude, I missed a good 10 minutes easy. So I don't know what happened. So I feel like, and this is a total cop out, and I admit it, because I missed the beginning, although I watched like didn't see the whole beginning, but I watched videos that filled me in what I missed. Like, it's important. Like, you have to see the beginning. The beginning sets up some stuff.
Yeah.
So, anyways, wow, I'm usually pretty decisive. Um, I do think ultimately, as a standalone film, I like Sinners more. However, however, I think that this film, and I think what you said earlier tonight is influencing me. This film is the most important film to the MCU. For me, damn, I'll say since Endgame. And the
Hmm.
reason why is because No Way Home was just kind of like tying a bow. It was an end. Whereas this film is a beginning. So that's high praise. So even though I like Sinners better as a standalone film, this film is a big deal to me. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
But it's like I've always said about Infinity War and Endgame, right? Like I understand that Infinity War is probably the better of the two movies. Like I'll never argue that.
But
But
it's funny,
the
but it's more highly, but Endgame is more highly rated. I've
yeah,
noticed that.
well, but Endgame is my favorite.
Yeah.
Like I know the Infinity War is better, but
Okay.
Endgame is my favorite because of what it meant to everything. You took 10 years, 20 plus films and tied it up with this film and did it right. Like
Yes.
there's so many ways that film could have gone bad, and it didn't. And I think you see that actually with Thunderbolts. If anybody else had directed this, if anybody had half-assed this at all, it could have been a disaster. It really could have been a bad movie. And instead, it's a great movie that, was done with a lot of care and with the right people.
Can I say something really quick? So that's why also, oh my God, I didn't even think about this, but what you just said made me think about this. If I was like a dick Kevin Feige, I'd be looking over at DC and be like, we did it. Like, you guys tried it twice. You tried this concept twice, and you did not achieve what we just did. So, don't tell me about superhero fatigue, and don't
Yep.
tell me about
Yep.
studio meddling. Just do a good movie, because yeah, even Gunn did what's the name of those movies? Suicide Squad. So
Suicide.
there was Suicide Squad and The Suicide Squad. And yeah, as a
There,
matter of
there's
fact,
there's heavy debate out there right now about which is better, Thunderbolts or the Suicide Squad, the second one. And I'm
yes.
like for me, having watched this, now granted, I actually really liked Gunn's Suicide
Okay.
Squad. I did like it. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was very gunnish. It was certainly more silly than the Thunderbolts, all
Yeah.
that. But it was a decent film. Like they did a good job with it, especially cleaning up the mess from the one that came before it. But for me, this movie is better, hands down. I think the Rotten Tomatoes scores probably show that. But it's a debate that's going on, and I'm kind of like I don't really see eye to eye with that. But it may be that I'm a Marvel fan when it comes to the movies. I've always said like for me the comic books I've always been a DC fan. Like I love Marvel comics. I think they're great. I may even actually own more Marvel comics than DC comics if I went down to my basement and I don't know. Um, but DC has always been great. Um, but when it comes to the films, Marvel since Iron Man has just blown them out of the water. Which, by the way, I think this week was the 17th anniversary of Iron Man. Um,
Damn, we're old.
I know, right? Like I saw that shit in the theater.
Me too.
Um, and so yeah, it's fun to see that come around. I also love the memes pointing out that yesterday was supposed to be the premiere of the Kang Dynasty, which just
You
died.
know, yeah, I'm glad. Like, I'm glad it's over. I'm sorry. I mean, I like you as an actor, but I wasn't sold as you being the big bad. Sorry. And I do, again, I said earlier, like, I do think Lewis is the right one. I love you, Steven. I do. But that worked out. And I do
Yeah.
think the new actress would have been better than AO. Because AO is a bigger name. And I think part of what made this work too was it wasn't a bunch of big names, except for Elena, obviously, Florence.
Mhm.
Um, Oh, another thing that Risky said that I got was he said like Yelena's like personality feels like that's actually Florence. Like that's what she's really like. Sans accent, of course, but she probably is that cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, she just from the very beginning, like my vest, it has pockets. Like
Yes.
seen her 3 times, and all 3 times she just kills it.
Yeah. Yeah. She is perfect. Like you think about Scarlett Johansson, and if you don't have anybody to compare it to you, like you can't replace her, right? Like, and it's the same thing you say about Steve Rogers. It's the same thing you say about Iron Man, right? Like these characters aren't replaceable, but then you put somebody out there that is legitimately doing a good job, that is blowing it out of the water. Then you're like, okay, maybe she at least can be replaced isn't the right word, but like, have a solid stand-in. Um,
A successor.
yeah, there you go. That's the perfect word for it. I think there people will always debate whether Sam was the right choice instead of Bucky. I think that's always going to be up in the air. And I think some of that comes out of the personality that they gave Sam Wilson. And I've said it 100 times, but like, dude is actually like a lot of fun, and they just sucked so much of the vibrance out of him as an actor for Sam Wilson. And granted, I think that is kind of right for the character, but he there's just a little bit of something missing that makes him not work as Cap. But
So
I think they did a good job like covering that in the last one. Like for me, he's Captain America going forward. I get it.
yeah.
But I think that debate will always be there a little bit. Like it always felt like it should have gone to Bucky because Bucky was actually a super soldier, and all that. But yeah,
But yeah, and also after seeing Thunderbolts, like I was like, I'm sorry, but like I just felt like that movie, uh New World Order or whatever it's called, um, was like not that good. Like it just wasn't. And again, the pacing in the beginning was just so terrible. So to me, it's like no. I at first I was like, am I being too hard? Like I think I've been really hard in Phase 4 and 5. Like I've just been like a negative Nelly or whatever. But then this movie comes out, and I'm like, no, dude, you're being too hard. Like you no, like this was good. So it just proves to me that no, you can make better films. And I just felt like the Hulk, I mean, Red Hulk movie was a bit of a patchwork salvage job from what I
yeah,
understood of
yeah.
film. Whereas this was a coherent, from start to finish, character driven redemption story.
Yeah, and I didn't hear about anything about reshoots or anything with this one. Like, it didn't
No.
seem like it had a problematic production, even though it was delayed in production. Um, yeah, I don't remember hearing about it having any problems. Um, what I thought was really fun is the whole Doomsday cast, I guess, Thursday night,
Yes,
watched it
that must have
together.
been so fun.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? And if I was part of the crew of this film and just hearing like the camaraderie of it all, it
Hmm.
actually blew my mind that like they're just human. Like you'd think that they'd, oh yeah, I'm sure like Chris Hemsworth saw it, like no, no, he's just like us. Like he's seeing it for the first time.
Yeah.
Like and then it's just so it's just to be watching that while you're making the next movie or whatever is like that's what it's about. That's the movie making. Oh, okay. So on the plane, this is related, sort of. I'm watching finally that Christopher Reeve Superman story. It's called
Okay. Yeah.
Super/Man. I don't know if you've seen it yet,
Not yet.
but
No.
okay. So maybe we'll have to watch that for the next podcast. So he talks about like how um Marlon Brando, like Christopher Reeve actually said when it was fun working with Gene Hackman. Marlon, he was like, he just took the money and ran. Like, he
Hmm.
phoned it, you
Yeah.
know. So then Chris talking about, because Chris was like, no, I'm taking this very seriously. Like he was very into the role about like I mean, all the physicality of it. And I think I'm the same way in whatever I do. So I bring all of that up to say, what an amazing vibe, spirit, like whatever for the Marvel culture to all get together. We're working on a movie, but we're going to support what's already coming. Like it's just, this is not just a paycheck to us. This is something we really believe in. We know that we're creating worlds. We are inspiring people. We are bringing mythology to life. This is not just a paycheck. And I'm so big on that. I
Yeah.
just,
I hope this group gets as close as the original group because like the original six, I mean, they got tattoos together. They have a text chain. Like they're tight. And I would love to see whatever comes next, um, for those people to build that kind of family that they built in the original Avengers. Um, I mean, that was pretty special. Like, there's a hard thing to duplicate, but it'll be interesting to see, who comes out great friends and who comes out, just associates. I've never other than probably Jonathan Majors, I don't think I've ever heard of any kind of animosity or anything in the MCU as far as the actors go, other than what's his bucket that got replaced by Don Cheadle. Um,
Yeah, the more and more I hear about him though, I kind of get it.
I just
Like,
saw him in something too. It looked like he had a little work done, and now I'm like I don't feel like I recognize you now, man. And
yeah,
he's
yeah,
talented. Like he can act. Dude's a good actor,
very
but like
talented.
he's kind of like the oh shit, what's his name that played the Hulk that we replaced in the MCU?
Oh, I never remember him either, but I
Uh,
know you're talking about
Ed
Norton,
Norton.
Ed Norton. Yes, he's
Like
the Ed Norton.
yeah, he a great actor that does their own thing really well, but does not do the ensemble thing very well. And you know that's a bummer, I think, especially when you see what you can create with an ensemble. That you know, like I said, I hope these guys are all coming out of this as a little closer than when they went in.
I think I also read Scarlett Johansson was executive producer of Thunderbolts. And if that's
That
the
makes
case,
sense. Like she's trying they're trying to keep her involved even though she's not in the
good.
movies.
Yeah.
Um, they probably have to after they screwed her over with the with the Black Widow thing, but um, that is actually kind of cool that her efforts would be behind this one with Yelena moving forward. Because again, this was for as much as as it was an ensemble movie, this was her movie. Like this was more hers than Black Widow was, and all that. I think this was really great. So
Covered it.
yeah, so yeah, I think you know one of my kids gave it like a 9.5 out of 10. I think as far as like Marvel movies go, it's definitely like for me like a nine. Like it's up there. It was good. Really hard to find like real flaws in it. You can find some little things that you want to nitpick or whatever, but when you start to talk about real flaws, there's not really anything in there. Like it's really good. Um, Again, a lot of fun. It looks good. The locations are all solid. You know, they destroy Manhattan again for a minute if that's your thing.
Even
Um,
the lethal, non-lethal, like we were set up for lethal. Like that
yeah,
was
how pouty he was about it. He was like, but
yes.
he's like, I just want to kill somebody. Yeah, it was just
Uh,
like so many like just fun moments. Valentina plays such a good like slimy like ultra gray area character. You know, and
so cool.
seeing just that little hint of her backstory and then
Yeah.
not getting any more was actually kind of nice because you can see she came from nothing to get to where she is. So like some of her ambition makes more sense than it did before, while not wasting time on an entire like character arc telling you how she got there.
Yes. I loved how it was so full circle in a way for that. Like, this felt like almost like a slightly like an Avengers film because
Hmm.
Val in New York, they're saving lives, and then it even ends up in Tony's old like lounge, right?
Hmm.
Where like that was cool. Like it was just, I think she makes a nod when she's standing behind the bar.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah, she
I
says something
love
like,
it.
"How many battles have been fought here?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
So
Yes.
yeah, it's all in all, man, it's a great movie. If for some reason you haven't seen it, go see it. Looks like it's projected to make somewhere between 70 and 75 million this weekend, which isn't a ton of money. Like it could stand to do better. I'm hoping that the buzz around it will help. I don't know what the budget was. Do you know offhand?
180. I
Okay, that's
just
not too bad. Like if it has a couple of decent weekends, it can make that back, and I hope it
I'm not
does.
worried. It will.
Um, it it's good. It's not quite like Endgame where you want to go right back to the theater and see it like a second time or anything like that. But um,
This, I'm sorry.
no, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. This to me, it's either top tier phase two or like bottom of the middle tier phase three. That's how I put it. Because I think phase three was just nothing but bangers. And phase two, remember, phase two had Winter Soldier. So that's what I
Hmm.
mean by like, and I think, and Ultron was phase two as well. So
Hmm.
to me, it's Ultron level, and Ultron, I
Yeah.
think, would get met with like a bit of like, oh, we expected more, but
Yeah.
Ultron's a film that gets better when you look back at it from where
Hmm.
it, and I think this film might even like, because I think a lot of things were set up here, at least, with the
Yeah.
Avengers and everything else and
Yeah.
Sentry.
It'll be really neat to see where this goes going forward because it opens a lot of doors that I hope they don't just skip over and close. Because I know they're in a hurry to get to the next two Avengers films. That's the only thing that worries me is that these guys are not cosmic, right? These guys are doing stuff on US soil, maybe getting sent somewhere else, but like for the most part, they're hanging out here. So when you get into the cosmic stuff, it's not going to be them. But at the same time, like it still sounds like they fully intend to bring in the X-Men after all of this. So
10-year plan is what I read.
yeah,
He has a 10-year plan.
so
And
to
then
say they're going cosmic, I mean, you're not going to go cosmic with the X-Men, so they're probably going to have a lot of grounded stuff still.
yeah, but I think they almost breadcrumbed it when they said, well, is he going to fly us on his back? Like, I think, and I was like, like, like I just feel like when they those throwaway lines like that, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that might happen, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Sentry's Sentry's that dude. I'm sorry. I want his powers.
yeah. Well, the bummer is there's a few projects that have been kind of nixed along the way that would fit into that cosmic thing. They were going to do a Nova series, and Nova is a pretty important character, and I think they killed that. There's still like this year, I think Ironheart's still coming out, and I have not seen a single thing for that. Like they're like, I think they're going to release it and then pull it. Like I
I'm
don't
not
think it's
gonna
gonna
lie.
make it. I,
She
I
was she was the part of Wakanda Forever that I was not like,
yeah, yeah, and I don't know who's to blame for that. Like I don't know if she's not a great actress. I don't know, exactly where the issue lies with that for me.
yeah,
Um,
it just feels like she's being positioned as like the replacement to Tony or something like
yeah,
that. And I'm like, like that's the problem. Like if you're going to be a successor, like be different and be doper. Or not even doper, just be different and dope. That's
yeah,
that's the key. And if you're missing one of those two factors, you're always gonna be prepared to them, and your mere presence might be off-putting,
yeah,
frankly. And so that's the thing. Yelena is different and she's dope. Sam, he's different, but is he like dope? Like to the level of like, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
like holding Mjolnir, like yeah. So
yeah,
that's
yeah. I think, yeah, she's just. I don't think she's the right person. I think the right person, honestly, would have been Peter Parker. Like I think they missed an opportunity there just to pass that off. He didn't have to do everything. He could have been behind the scenes, all that stuff. But like he would have been the person to take it over, the right person, I think, because I know Riri Williams exists in the comics. Like Ironheart is a character from the comics. The execution just didn't feel right. It's one of those misses, those post Endgame misses that I think they did. And again, like I said, I don't know if it's the actress. I don't know if it was the direction of the movie. Like I don't know where exactly they missed the mark, but they missed it. And they're going to pay for that. And I think they're going to finish making the series. And I feel like we're never going to see her again. Maybe if they do that Champions thing, they'll pull her into that somehow. Um, but she's even for as smart as they've made her, she's not Iron Man. She doesn't feel like Iron Man. She doesn't have that thing. And if anybody was going to pull it off, I almost would have thought it would be Shuri. Like she's confidently intelligent and has historically been, and she would have been an interesting one to throw in there too. Um, but yeah, we'll see. I know they're planning another Black Panther movie, so we'll see where that goes. There's still a lot of stuff that's in the works that's got to come out. You got Shang-Chi 2, all these other films that they need to do a good job on top of. the two Avengers films and Spider-Man, but and we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we've gone for a little over an hour. Do you want to talk The Last of Us real quick? Episode?
Yeah, we can do it real quick.
All
Yeah.
right. So last week was the third episode of The Last of Us. This was a bit of a setup episode compared to the previous episode, was with a lot of action. We got a little bit of internal political drama in trying to put together a little mini army to go and avenge Joel. We get more great Dina moments. I think for as much as I actually do like Bella Ramsey. I love Pedro Pascal. This season right now is like every time Dina shows up, she is stealing the scene. Like she is killing it. Isabella Merced she is an actress on the rise because she's in Superman. She's in the same boat as like Pedro. Like she's got rings everywhere. You know, she was Dora the Explorer. She was just in something else too. Like she's on fire right now. Like she is just pumping out work and doing a great job at it. And I think she is the best part of the season. So every moment that she has is great. We're finally heading out to Seattle, which is going to be a big chunk of this and next season. Most of those shows, most of the game takes place in Seattle, and so we'll definitely see. We met some new survivors. We met a whole new group of people whose names you would only know if you had your subtitles turned on. They're called Seraphites, the people that were walking in the woods. The WLF calls them scars because their religious thing is they scar their faces when they're young, and and they carry hammers. And and we saw some stuff. So again, you are seeing this stuff for the first time. Um, this is your first moment to kind of sit back and reflect on the loss of Joel. And um, I think somebody said it best. I don't remember who it was, but the scene where Tommy is cleaning up Joel in the very beginning said that scene is a little extra poignant because it's Tommy saying about a Joel, but at the same time, Gabriel Luna and Pedro Pascal got really close doing the show, and now they're not going to work together anymore. So like with him cleaning up, it's like him saying goodbye to Pedro also. But yeah,
Well, a couple things, keeping it real life. So as you're talking about, the new people and I'm reading the synopsis on Wikipedia, I'm realizing that as I watched the show, I didn't get past stopping by the grave. So I actually had finished all of season episode 3. But what's even worse is there's somebody in my feed who love him to death, a little rough around the edges. Hope he doesn't see me say this, but dude, he spoiled me. He spoiled me.
on the whole thing.
I mean, he basically said that, when you find out what happens with, this whole Ellie Abby thing, it's going to be like event television. But he actually, like, I'm not spoiling people on this podcast. I'm just saying he, like, says, like, what happens.
Oh,
And I was just kind of like, dude, like, really? Like, so anyways, like that kind of sucks. Like, I mean, I'll be honest, like you can see the expression on my face, so you already know like where I'm at as far as like what I learned.
yeah,
But I still think that was lame, and I could say more, and I'll probably say more when we're not recording. But that was, yeah, come on, dude. Like really.
yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, I mean, I'm just in, and I'm in.
So you saw I mean, realistically, you saw the most emotional parts of the episode, right? Like you saw the jacket when she goes into his house and she has the jacket, she cries into that. You've got um Dina having her back for the first time. You saw Seth stand up from being a dick in the first episode to
Yes,
standing up and
epic count.
um
Hmm.
yeah, and that one's an interesting one because like the producers or the directors have kind of said it's not necessarily because he's a good guy, right? Like he may not even actually be trying to make up for what he did, but he's an angry guy, and so that puts him on the same, page as them. So now they're allies because they're trying to get this bit of revenge. And he's just, it's not that he's a bad guy. He's just an angry guy. And this kind of puts him in their path and helping. But it was interesting to see. Like it was a good dynamic for that whole room full of people because you could easily make the argument either way that, one idea was better or worse than the other. And so it was also interesting to see the way they played Ellie's character because this whole scene was not in the game. So this entire scene was new. In the game, I believe they're just like, yeah, no, we're not going to go. And so she's like, cool, well, I'm out. I'm taking my horse and we're off. So you saw all that, and then the coffee beans. I think, but then if you saw the grave was probably the last thing you saw. And I thought that was a really sweet addition. Depending on how they tell the rest of kind of flashbacks with Joel, there's one line specifically that really would make that more poignant. So we'll see if they come back to that later on. But other than that, like at the end of the episode, you get a moment where you kind of realize who Ellie and Dina are really up against, right? Because they're going out there. I don't want to spoil it for you because you're still trying to get to the end of the episode. But they're going out there to kill folks in the WLF, and they don't they don't know what they're up against yet. So you'll see why I told you earlier that Abby's people are not a joke. Like they're legit, and it's a whole thing. So
Word.
you didn't miss a lot. There's some really fun moments between Dina and Ellie after that because it's them traveling to Seattle. You probably have 15 minutes left.
Oh, okay, cool.
You don't have a lot left. And then it's going to set us up for the next episode. The next episode will be exciting, like action. We're going to have a lot more of infected in the next one, and it should be pretty solid. So I'm excited for that. But like, I know you only saw half of it, but like, what's your take so far on this episode that you saw?
Yeah, no, I liked it. I remember feeling actually like Ellie was being excessively mean to the guy after he shows up, like with the horse. I think he actually even trades guns with her.
Yep,
He's
yep,
and she's just kind of like, but Dina's obviously nicer. I'm like, Ellie, come on, dude. Like this guy, like he's making an effort, in my
yeah.
opinion. So I remember that. I remember when Dina makes her the cookies. I was like as a peace offering, I think, or something. It made me like I always wanted cookies all of a sudden. So it was just random. I was like,
Yeah.
I need cookies now. Um, it just and honestly, when I was watching the council scene, I was actually kind of torn too. Like I felt bad. And I actually thought Ellie's speech was great.
Yeah.
So when like they're like, yeah, fuck you anyway. Sorry.
But and I thought it was well delivered too, because it wasn't that she necessarily believed this thing she was saying, but it's what people needed to hear, right? Like she had to say, because Jesse tells her beforehand, he's like, you need to write down what you're going to say and then say it. And she's like, why? Because I'm crazy. And he's like, no, because you're angry. And if you come across angry, people aren't going to listen to you. Like Jesse is like this complete opposite of his character in Beef, right? Like just so different. But he's so level-headed and cool and smart. And you can tell like he wants her to succeed, but like he's like, if you do it the Ellie way, you're done. So, and she does, and she puts in the effort, and
Yeah.
she does her best, but that is not who she is, right? So there's definitely the feeling of her reading off of a
Huh.
piece of paper, right? So she's a good actress, man. Like she really is. Like she's doing a great job in this show. And I'm excited to see what they do with her for the rest of the season. But next week will be episode 4, right? Or
Hmm.
for us tomorrow will be
Wow.
episode 4.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited to watch it and see where it goes. and how far they take this season versus what they're going to do next season. Like, I'm not sure where they're going to end it, and how they're going to tell the story versus how they told it in the game, which was very interesting.
So, a question for you, like season one, do you like the way they did it versus the game? And then season two, so far, do you like it versus what they did with the game? Like compare and contrast.
Yeah, I think they did a great job with both, to be honest. I think there's some valid arguments for the first season that they probably didn't have enough infected in the first season, compared to the game. I mean, if you think about it, there was infected in the scene with, when, what's her name dies, when Tess dies.
Hmm.
So you had that, and that gets blown up. You had when they're escaping the town, which was
Yeah,
sort of like the game, but a little different when they're escaping with, Sam and Henry. But and then episode three was a whole its own thing that wasn't even in the game. The character um of Bill was in the game, but he was
right.
alive when they interact with him. So like they changed a lot right there. Um, but that was so perfectly executed that you can't complain about it, right?
Yeah,
But there's key moments in the first game that they do such a great job with. You've got, when Henry accidentally shoots Sam and then shoots himself, heartbreaking. You've got the whole thing in the snow, that whole thing with the cannibal people that were super crazy. Like that was amazing. The last shot was literally identical to the game, like to the point like if you put a stopwatch next to the two, I feel like the timing for how long they stayed on her face would have been the same. So, um, yeah, the first season I think was fantastic. I think this season is off to a really great start. They've already changed a few things, but some things I think are for the better. I think I talked about it, when we talked about the second episode, but when, in the game it's Tommy and um, Tommy and Joel that go up to the cabin,
right.
and a lot of complaints that came from the fans of the game were that they're like, well, Joel would never do that. Joel would never go, willingly with these people that he didn't know. Like he put himself in such a weak situation. In this case, by adding in the blizzard, by adding in the battle at the town, by adding in all these things and having it be
They fixed that.
Dina instead of Tommy, it
Yeah,
works better and it makes it make more sense that they did what they did.
I love that.
And so, that worked better. Um, and so, yeah, I think they're doing a really good job. I mean, they change little things here and there because they have to. So it'll be interesting to see how much more they change. But so far, like I'm still fully on board with what they're doing. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Good, good. I was gonna say in my head, like I was like, I feel like season one was bleaker than season two so far, but then I remembered what happened to Joel, and I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
what are you saying?
No,
No.
that reminds me, I got a message from Leah on Facebook, and she's like, "Oh, I just watched episode two." She's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I've been sitting on that for 5 years, so I feel you." Like it's not a fun moment, you know. It changes everything in a big way, and it really makes this one start to become Ellie's story. We're gonna have at some point in this season, we're gonna have a really great flashback episode, between her and Joel. That'll be really good. Has one of the more, emotional moments from the game in it, so that'll be really cool. Um, and then there will be at least one sort of messy flashback that is going to be kind of hard to watch. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. My biggest thing is I don't know where they're going to end it and how they're going to tell this story if they're going to do it the same way they did in the game. Which they could, but it'll be really interesting because if they do that, I worry that season three might get a lot of hate out of the gate. Um, so what they do in the game is there's a meeting point. So you go through these 4 days in Seattle. You go through all of them with Ellie. Maybe it's 3 days in Seattle. They're all from Ellie's point of view. You come to this crossroads, and then you flash back and you tell the same days from Abby's point of view. And I feel like if they only did Ellie's story up until the season finale and then come back in season two from Abby's story, if people are pissed, they might not be as excited about the next season and not get involved in it when they should. Like it's a really fascinating way of telling the story. And what's really interesting is like, well, I won't say anything about it yet because I don't want to spoil anything, but
Well, it's
it
funny
was,
because you're reminding me of like the days of um of Lost, whereas like I almost wanted to be like, okay, so the knowledge that I have now, like, does it happen in season two or season three? And of course, you're probably gonna be like, I don't
well,
know.
it does depend on what you know. It depends on how far they spoiled.
So
So
basically, what's gonna happen is like when we get the podcast, I'll tell you what they told me, and
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah. So yeah, if it doesn't ruin the entire end of the show, I'll tell you at least that. So
yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, 'cause yeah, I think it's pretty major. Like it's
yeah,
like what I learned was pretty major. So and
yeah.
again, like why would you put spoiler alert and then immediately after
And then
put
immediately
the
it
brain's just
drives me
gonna
crazy,
read the
man.
whole thing? I'm like, dude, like oh my God, like yeah, I'll save the rest for like when we're not recording
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, that's what I
So
said. Like when I got the game spoiled, they didn't even do that. Like people were intentionally spoiling this for people. They were out there like actively trying to ruin this game for people. And I was like, dude, why?
well,
Why do you have to be dicks? Like why do you have to be bad people?
there are jokers out there who want to see the world burn, like Michael
Yes.
Caine said. Like I remember when Endgame came out. Dude, there were so many landmines in the comments. And one post had like a GIF and it was like Black Widow, blah, blah, blah. Like actually told you like and it is Flash. It literally was like people were setting traps. So I
Yeah.
knew Black Widow died like before I saw the damn movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
It sucks. It sucks. And that's actually one thing that I thought was really cool is I don't know if it's Uh, I'm going to assume it's Marvel's marketing and not my self-control, but like I had no spoilers for this movie for for Thunderbolts. I had no idea what was going to happen. I knew the characters in it. The
yeah.
biggest spoiler that I had was the scene where she walks into the void. At some point, I saw
Oh,
that.
okay.
I don't know where I saw it. I don't know, but I didn't know the context of it. I didn't know anything about it. I knew the Sentry was in it. I didn't know how bad, good, whatever. I didn't know anything about his whole like mind palace thing where he's the void and they're all in there. So yeah, like as far as spoilers go, I had none. So it was all really a lot of fun for me. And I prefer that. Like if I'm going into a movie like this, into a show like this, uh, it's
Well,
gotta
let's
be
see.
spoiler free. And people love to be dicks, man.
And I
I'll
gotta
never
tell you,
understand.
yeah, and then the other one was another person that we may or may not know. I'll never forget all this like the season finale of season two of Mandalorian. Literally, like he puts on his like status, you know what I'm talking about. He's like Luke Skywalker. Oh my God. And I'm just like,
Yeah. Can you wait a day? Like, you just like wait, I don't
fuck,
know, a
man.
couple of days. Like, I get you're blown away, man. But like, let's let everybody settle in, get excited together, and then come back to it. Yeah,
Uh,
the internet's it's a landmine, man. The internet's a scary place.
so yeah, that's actually it's why I forget what movie it was. It might have been Sinners, but I don't think it was Sinners or something else. Where I'll go see a movie just because I do not want to have to avoid Facebook
Yep.
because I'm sorry I'm Mr. Facebook, so like it's on me if I get spoiled at some point if I don't see a movie
Yeah. Fast
immediately.
enough. Yeah.
So anyway, y'all got it.
Yep. All right. Cool. Well, with that, then I don't have anything else. If you remind me, I'll try and watch that Superman documentary. We can talk about that next week. If you guys get through
Yeah.
Adolescence, we can talk about that.
Yep.
And whatever. I think, oh, you know what? No, maybe it's in 2 weeks. I know that the new John Krasinski Apple TV, like National Treasure type movie comes out in a
Okay.
couple of weeks, and that one looks pretty fun. So I'm curious about that. Otherwise, there's not a lot of new stuff other than the shows that are out. I actually didn't watch this week's Andor, so by next week I'll have to.
Same. All
Yeah,
right,
so
cool. Boom.
we'll
Yeah,
have
we
a
can talk about
big
that.
Andor catch up next week,
Yes.
um, and go from there. And yeah, we'll see what else we got.
Word. And I
So,
still have to watch the other three or what the rest of the Black Mirrors. So
oh yeah,
that's got to catch up on that, including the sequel to USS Callister. So
yeah, that was good. I had to go back and rewatch the
okay.
first one to make sure I remembered everything that happened for the next one. I think if you've seen it once and you really remember it, you probably don't have to rewatch
Okay.
because it doesn't rely on the old one too much. Um, but it carries over for sure, like both in and out of universe. So um,
Might be worth a
it's
rewatch then, I
interesting.
think.
Definitely ends in a crazy place. So enjoy that. It's fun.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so cool. Well, with that, I will say thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great week, and we will see you next time.